Division, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. So I would request you to tell us more about the program, its progeny and future plans. So you also hold the additional charge of Additional Director General of Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Swati, and very good morning. Would like to welcome all to this program on Digital India Dialogues. Would like to pay my special thanks to our President and CEO, Shri Abhishek Singh Ji, who has been guiding us, and rather he was the one who started this program during COVID. And since then, it has been very, very successful. Would also like to thank internal team of NEGD, Mr. Satyanarayan Meena, then entire team, and then Team Intel under Sweta Khurana ji, Swati, Vikram, and everyone. Today's session is very, very important in many sense because we are already automating a lot of operations related to logistics. Honorable PM has recently launched the program PM Gati Shakti. So there is a big focus how entire logistic framework can be improved, can be automated, and then efficiency can be enforced. And that to great extent can be done by using technologies and emerging technologies to that extent. So AI and blockchain definitely will help in that supply chain issues, logistic issues, as well as in custom management. AI and blockchain has been contributing and are being used in not only in this area, but then very important areas of health, agriculture, education, tourism, and many more. So AI, as everyone know, that AI tools are being used throughout in the logistic operations to increase the efficiency, to reduce the shortage, and then shortage of manpower in this area, and discover better and safer ways to move the goods from one place to another. AI can help in predicting the spikes and adjust the routes that the volume of material flows. It can also help in managing the inventory better, help responding to the client's needs quickly, and reduce the operating cost. So AI definitely is a very good use case to see to it that we have a better logistics system out there in the country, and it will benefit everyone, where starting from the distributor to wholesaler to retailer to raw material supplier to manufacturer and the end user. And as well as it helps in the automating of the internal and external processes. Similarly, the blockchain technologies provides a trusted and tamper-proof audit trail of the flow of information inventory with the supply chain. And using blockchain, the companies can synchronize their data, their logistic transactions, track shipments, automate payments, and everything. And it ensures that we have an end-to-end tracking of supply chain and create a decentralized, immutable records of all transactions. Today, we have the officials from Custom Department, and Custom Department in India was the one who started very early automation of their operations with Indian Custom EDI system, Eccs, connecting all major custom offices in the country. They also have a gateway called IceGate, interface with Eccs as well as with the external world. They also offer and then run a risk management system to ensure the compliances of their activities of the entire custom operations. I'm sure that they will be throwing lights on the use of AI and blockchain in their operations, in custom operations. We also have many other senior officers from state governments, from academia, from industry, who will be throwing light on the use cases of AI and emerging technologies, how they can be used not only in supply chain, but in other areas. The panel discussions which we have planned for today definitely going to highlight all this. So I am very thankful that we have some of the very eminent speakers today, including Mr. P.N. Pandeyji, who is Additional Director General in Directorate of Analytics and Risk Management with the Customs. Then Akhilesh Pandeyji, again Additional Director General with Express Cargo Clearance System. Then we have Nantha Kumar Govind Sami, Director International Trade Policy. Then we have Mr. P.J. Narayanan, who is Director IIIT Hyderabad. Santosh Kumar Mishra ji, I sir need no introduction. He has been instrumental in automating many things in the state of Tamil Nadu, and that too using emerging technologies like AI and blockchain. Mr. Amit Bala Ratnam, AGM in EICI Systems Mumbai. Vasudevan Raja Gopalanji, DHL Courier Mumbai. Arvind Gupta ji, founding member iSplit. Professor Bhiksha Raj, Professor Carnegie Mellon University. So welcome, sir. Welcome to all the eminent speakers. And we are very thankful to you for joining in for today's session. And we are hopeful that the session will be very, very interactive and useful for all senior officers. A lot of senior officers from central government, state government are participating in today's session. And it will be very we hope that it is going to be very beneficial to them, and as well as help them to see that some of the ideas discussed today, some of the ideas given by you, we could in the government, these officers will be able to use in their ongoing projects and programs. So with these words, I again thank everyone and hand it over back to Swati. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. I'd now like to invite Mr. Pashupati Nath Pandey to provide the keynote for today's session. Sir, you're a 1994 IRS officer batch, currently working as Additional Director General at the National Customs Targeting Center at Directorate General of Analytics and Risk Management. You're heading Indian Customs Targeting Risk Management and Data Analytics Center. In your vast career spanning over 25 years, you've held several positions at strategic and managerial levels in the Government of India, the Consulate General of India, and the World Customs Organization. You've extensively worked in various areas such as customs reforms and modernization, trade facilitation, e-commerce, data analytics, and supply chain security. Over to you, sir. Can't wait. So I think you're on mute right now. You have to unmute.
Thanks, Swati. Thanks for the introduction. I see Abhishek Singh is also here. So thanks for the invite. So President CEO of NEGD, Mr. Meena, and all of the key speakers, distinguished participants, very good morning to all of you. I must compliment NEGD along with its partners, Intel and UNDP, for running this series of webinars topics. It's my great pleasure to speak to you on one of the important topics this morning with regard to the use of AI/ML and blockchain in the supply chain management, both from the business and more importantly from customs and cross-border regulatory perspective. Colleagues, we are living in a very extraordinary, challenging times, and a lot of vulnerabilities in the supply chain we have seen, both from supply side as well as demand side. Particularly during the past 2 years, when things were upended due to pandemic COVID-19. But at the same time, this is very interesting time offering several new opportunities which were perhaps not available or were not well recognized. And in particular, this morning, I want to call out for 4 more important developments, which I see is really going to drive our professional path going forward. Also in the context of the international supply chain. So first and foremost is the digitalization, rapid deployment taking place in the business environment, in the international supply chain, and in the government regulatory processes. Secondly, the enormous amount of data that's being generated on each day. And more importantly, data was always there, but perhaps it was not easily accessible. It was more in the physical form. So data being available in the electronic and digital form, that is the value. But the question is how we leverage that value. And third thing, which is I see the key theme for this morning session, is the e-commerce. E-commerce is rapidly growing, and during the pandemic, it has taken it another level in terms of growth. When the traditional trade and the supply chains were disrupted, it was e-commerce that was driving forward the movement of goods within the country and across borders. And finally, the fourth development, which I see a great opportunity for all of us, is the cutting-edge technologies, like the one which mentioned this morning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blockchain. So we are really living in a very data-rich environment, and driven by modern technologies, we are rapidly moving from atom to bit era, with phone in every pocket, with everyone connected through internet. This ever-increasing digitalization is really offering huge opportunities. And the data that is being generated, I can just give one estimate. Every 2 days, we create as much data as we did from the startup time until 2013. This is just one estimate. And you see, number of social media messages, the number of packages that is being shipped. For example, Amazon ships every day over every minute over 7,000 packages. There are like more than 150,000 Facebook messages, YouTube videos, Instagram, and all of that happening in the electronic environment, and that data is available. While we are getting accustomed to this amazing growth and availability of the data and its potential, we need to establish and enhance our capacity and develop business processes and mechanisms in order to manage and derive value from the deluge of the data that is available in the supply chain and in general in the customs and regulatory environment. In order to increase the efficiency of the supply chain while managing some of the associated risk. And customs and other government agencies, including our partner stakeholders, can tap into various data sources, and including open source information, leverage the modern technologies, and improve their business processes for enhancing the efficiency and resilience of the supply chain. To that end, Indian Customs, and I can proudly say, we have made big strides. I think something was indicated by Mr. Thakur also. We were one of the early departments to implement EDI at the national level. But today, talking about data and the data analytics and some of the modern technologies, we have created various databases and provided access and integrated them. So making that data available in order to derive value out of it on a day-to-day operations. We have, of course, customs clearance data. We are also having wealth of information available in the supply chain through GST data. E-waybill data is now available. Advait, we have developed one data analytics platform called Advait that is providing a lot of insight into the data, the valuation data, the offense data, which was lying in silos, number of cases, as you know, being detected almost on a daily basis. And then we also started connecting and collaborating with our partner government agencies, be it the Income Tax Department or Animal Quarantine, Food and Safety, Plant Quarantine, Wildlife Crime Bureau, Textile Committee, all of that, because DGFT, of course, more prominently, they have a direct role in the management of international and domestic supply chains. So to use this data revolution in spotting new and emerging trend in terms of the risk on a real-time basis, this is what we are doing at my center, that is National Customs Targeting Center, and we deploy a whole host of technologies to leverage that data, various databases. Now, I was asked to present a few slides. what I would do is just to showcase a few use cases, particularly in the context of e-commerce and overall supply chain management. So just allow me to share some slides here for. Can you see these slides? Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes. So talking about e-commerce, and the theme of the session is how to solve the problems of the supply chain. This is a problem statement in a typical e-commerce supply chain, which is increasing. And this is equally applicable in the Indian context. Our challenge is that with the tsunami of parcels coming through courier, express services, and post, how we manage the speed and efficiency. Consumer, which we are all buying goods, if not selling through e-commerce at least, we want immediate delivery of goods. Our consumers, our customers are getting impatient. From the customs and border regulatory point of view, we have to ensure that efficiency. A container, full load container having, let's say, 50,000 pieces of laptops, is now fragmented into 50,000 individualized parcels. So we are talking about 50,000 importers, 50,000 suppliers, and as opposed to one importer and shipper that we were dealing with in the past. Now we are talking about 50,000 set of documents. At the same time, we have to also manage the risk, because in the past, in the traditional supply chain, which is still running, of course, you knew broadly who are the people in the supply chain, big importers, exporters, overseas suppliers. But today, every individual, every citizen can be your importer. So to manage the risk, and also we have to understand the level of their understanding about the supply chain and the regulatory processes. So data quality issues. And yet to ensure that the parcel reaches to their doorstep, well, as soon as possible. We are talking about 24 hours, 48 hours, end-to-end delivery. That's the supply chain efficiency we are talking about. So we have to manage all of the risks, including security, safety, revenue risk, but at the same time, enhance the facilitation. Fair and revenue collection is another area, as opposed to collecting revenue on bulk shipment, collecting revenue on a small shipments. And more importantly, please bear in mind, when an individual places an order in the e-commerce environment, he or she expect that the price given on the web platform or e-vendors platform is the final price. Often there are challenges and they get surprised. We see day-to-day disputes about who will pay the duties and taxes. And why should I pay? I have paid everything, whatever I had to pay at the time of placing the order. So those challenges are there. The challenges in terms of the classification, I don't want to go in more technical issues. If we had a whole army of custom brokers and intermediaries helping the big businesses and the traditional supply chain, put yourself as an individual when you are placing, how you know that mobile phone under what chapter heading needs to be classified, what is the version? You don't know. You are placing order to a platform. They might be procuring goods from X country, and actually the goods might have been manufactured in third country. So this is the complexity of the supply chain we're talking about. And then we also noted that the e-commerce supply chain, and with all its benefits, which has really provided immense opportunities to our SMEs, individuals, and consumers in terms of connecting to the global supply chain. But it is also bringing up a lot of opportunities for unscrupulous elements, illicit trade, drug trafficking, IPR infringed goods, illicit financial flows, all of that we see it on a day-to-day basis. So we have to manage that aspect. Now, how technology can help in that? Obviously, it's complex architecture. There are multiple stakeholders, and that's where technologies like blockchain, as it was indicated in the opening session, provides and takes away the fear of unknown, provides trust amongst unknown people, individuals, and stakeholders. It provides the provenance of the data, the traceability, the consensus approach. So all of that, if we see there are a number of players connected in the supply chain, if they all come on board and they start populating their data and everyone having equal visibility, Clearly, it has a huge assurance. Today, we are getting data in silos from different stakeholders. You you have one set of information with the e-platform, another set of information perhaps going to logistics operator. Those are your express services and postal operator, and maybe a third set of information which is actually being fed into custom declaration system. We do not have the ability to leverage all of the data, and there are inconsistencies and gaps, some unknowingly and some deliberately, which is having a huge risk in the supply chain, and also then adding cost and time to that. And so blockchain clearly offers a solution having that visibility and much early in the supply chain. Today, I don't know until a declaration is filed what is coming to the country. We are trying for advanced electronic information. We are trying for prior filing of the bills, but in the courier environment, at least, it is still not happening. So many times, and my colleagues will perhaps give more details on that. It even only after the parcel has landed, the declaration is filed, and that takes time for clearance. At the same time, as I indicated earlier on, the huge data, and particularly in the e-commerce environment, the electronic data that is available at our disposal, how we can utilize that data. And that's where the AI/ML comes and provides a lot of opportunities to utilize that data, and that helps if there is no risk. Yes, why not? The cargo or the parcel can be cleared instantly. It's more effective, more cost effective. We can take better and timely, quick decisions. And wherever there are risks, and we do predictive modeling using ML, and I'll demonstrate in a while. That helps us to know which shipment is risky and which is not. So this is just one use case which we are already implemented in our risk management environment. We have codified all of the data, all of the suppliers, all of buyers, importers, all descriptions, though it was very challenging because the data quality, at least when it comes to description of the goods, is not very good. Often people would not know gift, and gift does not have any meaning to us. It could be $1 pen to $1 million diamond ring. So household goods, it does not have any meaning to me, but we made a lot of effort, piecing through the unstructured data. We codified majority of them. And today, based on the codification of all of the data and utilizing machine learning, utilizing the database, historical database, we are able to identify any anomaly or gap in a real-time basis, if it is with regard to classification of the goods, comparing with the identical goods in the past, valuation of the goods, levy of custom duty, IGST, anti-dumping, whatever it is. And this is all happening in a real-time environment through machine learning. There's absolutely no human intervention. Moving on to more specific e-commerce environment, what we noted, there are new actors. We are not used to some of those new actors that have joined in the supply chain. Custom and some of the other regulatory agencies in the supply chain, they never dealt with. We have e-platform. We are talking about cross-border, they are overseas. We have never dealt with them. So how to connect and get the data from those new actors? This is what we have been trying. If you take the example of e-platform, clearly we are looking at three kinds of data: order data, payment data, and shipping data. Order data is available the moment any customer, any buyer, including all of us, checks out the order at the e-platform. Payment data is also there because you have already paid for that. Shipping data is that next step when the platform or the supplier vendor connects with one of the logistics supplier. It could be express service, postal operator. So our approach is that how we can get the data as early as possible in the supply chain. And if all of these stakeholders are connected on blockchain, then this data, they don't have to necessarily push for it. We don't have to go and individually have agreement or some set up connecting platform or APIs to pull the data. This data is instantly available. There are pilots going on, including in Korea, where the moment e-commerce order is placed, the order data itself gets converted into the custom declaration data. There is no need for someone to file another declaration. And the advantages we see, all the stakeholders are on the platform, are pushing the data to customer and other government agencies. Efficient facilitation of all legitimate shipment, no need for any intervention. Through smart contracts, they can be instantly cleared without involving any custom officer or any FSSI or any other officer. Efficient and of course effective risk management, we are able to pin down to precise risk. Efficient revenue collection, so we can also have algorithm running to collect the duties and taxes, mapping with our tariff and the rate of duty, and improved compliance. Now, moving on to just rushing in the interest of time. Sorry. Yeah. So one of the things we also do network analysis and using ML techniques in the e-commerce environment. And just to give you one case, the misuse of KYC, my Aadhaar card being used by for getting goods through e-commerce through courier, and that is clearly not acceptable. This is a huge risk to us. And this connectivity has given us deeper insight, because obviously when 30,000 parcels, documents filed on each day, it's impossible humanly to get into and to come up with that kind of network or at least the bad network which is operating in the supply chain. So we have demonstrated and we are able to get that deeper insight on a real-time basis. The other thing which this is something which we envisage, not yet fully done, the POC is underway. We are trying to train the machine through machine learning by giving them all kind of images relating to the real product, be it arms, ammunition, cigarettes, gold, silver, even fabric, polyester fabric, woven fabric, knitted fabric. So machine itself will, when the image is captured in a real time, it will look into the past images, historical images for which it has been trained to look at the declaration, what it is declared currently, and we have seen such cases, a knife being declared as pen, and obviously the machine knew what is the image of a pen and knife, so they could clearly point out. So POCs have been very promising, and this is our next step to go ahead. And alongside, we are also looking at it that how we can identify these products precisely and even classify them using AI/ML. We can, using the weight validation cargo, a set of, let's say, mobile phones in a pack, in a container or package of a given volume will have certain amount of average weight. Now, if there are deviant behavior, obviously that's a risk. Either the product is misdeclared or something else is being brought in, smuggled in. Now, finally, I want to leave with the last two slides. How in general, e-commerce and particularly in general supply chain. Today, for filing a custom declaration, a broker or a company having their own whole army of people collecting data from several sources, bill of lading, airway bill, payment method, invoice, all licenses here and there, and then putting them in the form of a custom declaration called bill of entry. And when it comes to export, called shipping bill. Now, if the various actors in the supply chain, they are already in the supply chain. So this process is having data gaps, having errors, sometimes inadvertently, sometimes deliberately. But if these actors are on the supply chain, then clearly all of the data is available. And on the platform itself, using a smart contract or algorithm, the data will be collated and it will be put in the form of custom declaration. There is clearly no need to submit a declaration. This is what we are envisioning. And few countries have already done a lot of pilots in this. Korea is doing, IBM Mux has done, TradeLens. Of course, more and more custom and regulatory agencies also need to join such pilots and see how useful it would be. And if we connect this blockchain, either we run it on our own on the behalf of government, or we connect with the blockchain run by a private stakeholder. So for example, in Indian context, if we connect our SWIFT, which is the single window where custom and all the government agencies are operating currently, with, let's say, TradeLens, and we get the data on a real-time basis, we manage the risk, and the goods get automatically cleared. The other use case is the implementation of free trade agreements. And we have signed several free trade agreements. Government is vigorously, more recently we signed with UAE, now Australia, UK, they're all on card. Now, based on the previous experience, there have been a number of issues, including a lot of misuses of FTA provisions. Every day I see under Indo-ASEAN, I don't want to call out the name, but if you take Indo-ASEAN agreement, goods of third country origin are coming and claiming benefits. This is clearly not good for any of the partners in the, and clearly not for our revenue and overall, economy. Now, if these actors, and starting from the manufacturer and producer, they are all on blockchain, we get at what price the inputs and from which country they were imported, what value addition took place. So, for example, if there is value addition requirement of 30% for an FTA, it's all gets calculated in the on the blockchain platform itself, and there is the inefficiency associated with the certificate of origin, the manipulation, the fraud, the value addition norms being incorrectly declared. All of that will go away. Very briefly, we also have various agreements with various countries, including authorized economic operator and mutual recognition agreement. Obviously, when many of you would be aware, when I say authorized economic operator, each country has its own program, including India. We, based on the validation and the compliance level, we certify those traders, those importers and exporter, and we provide them enhanced facilitation. Now, you share that list with your partner country, and the partner country shares that list with you. That can happen in a real-time environment through blockchain, and those partner trusted traders of respective countries can get enhanced facilitation instantly in a real-time environment without any human intervention. So I stop here. I think I've already overshot my time, and this can equally be applied for payment and settlement solution, and some of the banking and financial institutions are already utilizing. Thank you very much. Do you have any question, comments? I welcome that, and thank you for this opportunity once again.
Thank you very much, sir. If there be any questions, I'll definitely bring that up. I'm now going to move on to the next keynote by Mr. Akhilesh Pandey, sir. Sir, you are working as Additional Director General at the West Zonal Unit Systems, Mumbai. You've done BTech Honors in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Varanasi, and you're an IRS officer of 2000 batch. You've earlier served the department in various capacities at Customs Port of Mumbai, JNPT, Kolkata, at RMCC, and DGCEI. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Swati. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Swati. A very good morning to ADG Mighty, Mr. Thakur, sir, ADG NCTC, Mr. PN Pandey, sir, Mr. Meena, Director, NEGD, and participants from EICI, Mr. Amit, participants from DHL, Mr. Vasudevan, and all the distinguished participants for this session. At the outset, I'll thank the organizers of Mighty to give me this opportunity to speak on this session. I'll give a very brief introduction on AI and blockchain and present the use case of its use in ECCS, which is Express Cargo Clearance System. The tone has been set very rightly by Pandey sir by giving in-depth detail of the use of AI and blockchain in Customs Department. We all are aware that artificial intelligence and blockchain are the cutting-edge latest technologies. Artificial intelligence leverages computers and machines to mimic the problem-solving and decision-making capabilities of the human mind, while blockchain is a shared, immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business world. Blockchain is ideal for delivering the information because it provides immediate, shared, and completely transparent information which is stored on immutable ledger, and it can be accessed only by the permission network members. AI and blockchain make our existing process of customs clearance system more smoother. It reduces the dwell time, which is the time of clearance of goods. It mitigates the risk of human errors and secures the data. AI has multiple steps to achieve desired results like data exploration, data modeling, and data for AI trading using reinforcement, deep learning, and deployment. Future vision of CBIC is to make a hybrid system with AI and blockchain. The blockchain will enable us, all the stakeholders of export and import value chain as node and have transparent data flow. AI can automate customs clearance process export and import ends with help of computer vision at scanning point of goods and matching it with the given HS code and description with the help of natural language processing, which is known as NLP. If the description and the HS code is matching with the scanned data, it will be facilitating the consignment. And in case there is any discrepancy, it will flag the goods and alert the customs staff on duty. This will identify and flag the restricted goods at the time of scanning and raise alert for the same, which can be used to reduce the dwell time for clearance. Now, I'll specifically explain the use of these technologies by CBIC through the Express Cargo Clearance System. The Express Cargo Clearance System, or ECCS, as it is called in short form, is an application which enables automated custom clearance in courier mode under Courier Import and Export Regulations 2010. This application cuts down the cost of doing business and ensures rapid movement of goods across frontiers. ECCS has successfully contributed towards increasing trade volume, demilitating paperwork, and reducing dwell time, resulting in clearance of consignment within few hours. ECCS has been built on cutting-edge technology products. It ensures faster clearance, better compliance of rules, and ensures data reporting and enhanced data security. Some of the key features of this application is that it is 100% paperless clearance. The duty payment, the uploading of all documents is done online. There is no manual processing at any end. As on date, at approximately 9 international customs terminals across the country, including Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore as the main ICTs, approximately 45,000 shipments are cleared per day in import and export through the courier module ECCS. It has the automated risk management system, and nearly more than 90% of shipments are facilitated, which means they are cleared without any customs intervention. And that module is being managed by Mr. Pandey, my previous speaker. The couriers file the courier bill of entry and courier shipping bill through bulk upload, which means multiple number of documents can be filed in one go through this bulk upload facility. The database is highly secured through audit vault technology. This completely online and paperless application allows upload of invoice, price list, customs clearance documents, query reply, duty payment online. It is a single and common web-based digital application for all stakeholders, which are the courier companies, the customs, and the custodians. So it has many automated features like auto OC or auto LEO, which means that any consignment which is compliant, which from the risk management division are cleared as safe, and during the X-ray is also comes as clear, not suspicious. It goes out of charge of customs area or auto let export order without any intervention by any custom officer at any stage. And more than 90% of consignments today in courier mode are cleared through this mode. ECCS provides real-time monitoring and visibility to customs officers, leading to greater trade facility and transparency. The technical part is that this application has been developed in state-of-the-art Java technology using Struts, EGB, and Jasper. The operating system of these servers are enterprise version of Linux like RHEL 7.7 and OEL 7.4. On the back end, the data is stored and managed in Oracle database. ECCS has 24/7 integrated help desk for importers and exporters to address their grievances and to resolve application-related issues of the end users. All the real-time consignments in ECCS can be tracked through e-mobility app. By entering only the airway bill number and the courier name, any person can get the status of their consignments on internet. As of now, the facilitation percentage in import is approximately 88% and export is 94%. And the dwell time for import is roughly 5 hours and export it is 4 hours. So you have to appreciate the speed of this express industry, wherein hours the goods are cleared from the customs control. Regarding the use of AI and ML, the Cbic, our board is envisaging the use of artificial intelligence chatbot to identify the best communication channel and messages to reply to the queries of ECCS users. So any query coming through the help desk can be automatically replied to this chatbot. Similarly, Cbic is envisaging the use of convolutional neural network during X-ray image scanning. So this CNN is similar to regular neural network and are inspired by biological processes and mainly used in image and video recognition, image classification, natural language processing. On a global scale, these images can be transferred to blockchain also. Cbic is also envisaging the use of artificial intelligence technology to bring optimization of transportation path and improve the delivery efficiency. The use of information can make the whole operation traceable, process controllable, and result predictable. The big data analysis and machine learning can optimize and improve the existing operation process based on the historical data and can also help to identify the risk and the pattern for the counterfeit goods. The blockchain technology can be used for process automation, transparency, traceability, and authenticity of the courier shipment. The express industry can be more efficient and faster by using this blockchain technology through the customs clearance by reducing the processing time for goods at the customs checkpost. At the end, I believe that this express industries need to leverage these new technologies and embrace ways of rethinking old processes in the digital area. The successful operation of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blockchain has the potential to bring transformation by making the system smarter, secure, and automated. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward for any questions or doubts later on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Akhilesh sir. If any questions come up, I will certainly bring them up. And now we move on to our next session, where we are going to learn about how blockchain can revolutionize supply chain structures and the customs environment, which is a vital part of today's supply chain. And now I'm very honored to invite our distinguished speaker, Mr. Nantha Kumar Govindsamy. I'm sorry, sir, it took some time. Probably we've overshot some time here. I'll give a very quick introduction about you. Mr. Nantha is the Director of International Trade Policies for Asia Pacific region. He leads Intel's trade policy, digital initiatives, and ESG advocacy in the region to effectively influence trade laws, regulation, and other government policies that align to Intel's business and operations, supply chain, market needs, and overall strategy and business objectives. With this brief introduction, sir, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Swati. Good day to everyone. Dr. Vinay Thakur, CEO, NEGD, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Speakers from Ministry of Finance, Mr. P.N. Pandey, Additional Director General at Directorate General of Analytics and Risk Management. Mr. Akhilesh Pandey, Additional Director General, West Zonal Unit Systems, Mumbai. Mr. Abhishek Singh, President and CEO, NEGD, MD and CEO, Digital India Corp. Audience members from Ministry of Finance, Central Board of India, Indirect Taxes, Ministry of Housing, Agriculture, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Defense, Commerce, Housing and Urban Affairs, members from the academia, friends and colleagues from the industry. A very good morning to all. And I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity to share some of Intel's digital initiatives relating to supply chain and customs. I think the first respected three gentlemen has summarized the whole scenario so well that I'm finding it difficult to speak. I don't know what to say. But it's amazing to see how India is far leaping and aggressively adopting technology, especially the supply chain era. And this is something that we are Intel is ambitiously driving to create that awareness, especially among the ASEAN members, how adaptation of the emerging technologies, especially blockchain, machine learning, and AI, can really transform the customs and trade supply chain processes. Let me quickly share some slides with you. Let me know if you can see the screen.
So now we can.
Okay, thank you. So this is again an initiative that we drove with the ASEAN member states together with ASEAN Secretariat and US ASEAN Business Council to bring forward the awareness and creating a collaborative joint effort to bring a solution to customs using blockchain, AI, machine learning. So as we speak about digitalization, generally today, there's a big drive, a need for exponentially more computing power, right? We are well aware that digitization of everything was aggressively accelerated by COVID-19 and has spurred innovation and new models of working, learning, etc. Technology, as we all know, is increasingly central to every aspect of human existence. At this slide, point out, as you can see, there are almost about 100 billion intelligent connected devices today, a concept commonly known as distributed intelligence, right? So as you can also imagine, with all these distributed intelligence comes big responsibility that of managing the data, right? The sheer volume of data that is transmitted today, and it comes with pretty unique challenges too. Right, and it's also very clear moving forward that governments will soon be dealing with bigger volumes of data, and the experts are already talking about yottabyte, right? Where if the data is not managed properly or structured properly, you will be requiring millions of servers to manage that, right? So there's no doubt that while data-centric area is indeed upon us today, moving, storing, and processing, all of this data is significantly part of the bigger puzzle of the movement, right? So that is where Intel is creating that awareness and try to bring in partners to build solutions on how these emerging technologies, AI, blockchain, can help move this data, organize this data, and reap the power of the data that we have today using blockchain and AI or machine learning methods. You know, today typically it's all manual work, right? Once we have it in system, the amount of data power that we can gain, that is what also we are trying to tell the governments to understand the possibilities of how these things can be used to move forward in a better, efficient way. Right, for I'll give you an example, right? Imagine a world where compute actually comes to you versus you seeking to migrate data to various sources and compute. And today this is possible because of blockchain, right? And we presented, this is the platform that we are using to present our case to the ASEAN government. Traditionally, you know, you bring all the data into one place and then you move it into compute. But we are saying now is, hey, you keep the data at your place, we bring the compute to you, and we move it along and we analyze it and whatever program that requires it. And of course, there's a question comes up along the way, right? How can we trust it? How can we ensure the compute is not tampered? Third party or unwanted parties seeing the PNC materials and stuff like that. And for that, Intel has a solution called Intel SGX. It's called Software Guard Extension. It is predominantly now being layered in most of our CPUs, and this gives that additional security that most of the users are scared of in terms of sharing the into the new emerging technologies. Now, with that, let me give you some snapshots of what are the projects that we are working with the ASEAN governments using these emerging technologies. There are actually three business cases that we are working on at a different progressive level. The first one is with the Vietnam government. We have signed an MOU to bring blockchain to their entire customs process. We have completed the POC. We have completed testing phase 1 and phase 2. And now what's happening is Vietnam government has ordered the customs to upgrade the infrastructure, digital infrastructure to cater for all these advancements. So they're very aggressively moving forward. That's number one. Number two is the ASEAN Digital Transformative Program that I'm going to talk about today. This is a collaborative work within ASEAN Secretariat, US ASEAN Business Council, and Intel, not only to create the awareness and sharing about the emerging technologies, but also to demonstrate how these technologies can really transform the current customs process that's pretty much manual in ASEAN today. Now, the objective of the program was very simple: to simplify customs and trade process and policy through adaptation of scaling digital solutions. And what we are offering is a solution based on machine learning, blockchain, or AI. And of course, ensuring policy reforms. Once we have taken up this adaptation, we also need to ensure some of the policies need to be reformed to set the current scenes. And in particular, we are focusing on customs declaration and clearance process. Now, addressing the problem, when we talk about this to the ASEAN member states, they threw at us the common problems that they are facing today and how technology can solve this to them. So these are some of the common things, but not conclusive. I think manual paperwork process, transparency issue, heavily dependent on human, how blockchain can help that. Record retention, reporting accuracy, we all know these. Connecting to industry. Now, this is an interesting area that I want to stress that what we are telling is today, all the companies are submitting report to the customs to validate what is the inventory, goods at hand, balance at hand, scrap, and etc. etc. What we are offering is we are offering a connective system from the company direct to the customs, so that customers can see the real-time inventory at hand, the goods movement, how much you have scrapped, where things are moving, and all that kind of stuff. So today we have actually started this initiative with Vietnam. So Intel in Vietnam is partially connected to the Vietnam customs system, although it is not fully yet. We're working towards it. So that's kind of like where we are. And I know a few other companies has also started this. And today we are also doing this active engagement with Malaysia, where we want to have a direct connection with the Malaysian customs to Intel, so that it's visible to the custom officer's eyes, right? Besides connecting to the industry, I think blockchain, AI, and all that, these solutions also give a valuable connection within government agencies, right? Interchecking and all that stuff, not only internally, but also externally, let's say India, Malaysia, right, through the single window system. So all this kind of stuff is possible today. The other thing that was brought up to our attention was the red flag and fraud detection. How can blockchain or AI system can catch these red flags at early point, right? And of course, the other aspect is protecting government revenue and security and data privacy concerns, including cross-border data flow, which we talked about. Now, after hearing all this, we did a poll survey with the ASEAN member state, 10 ASEAN member states of say, okay, we understand your concerns and you are happy to adopt technology, but you say you have also other concerns. So what are the real concerns that's really stopping you from bringing technology to play? So all the questions and all that, these are the three main areas we have got the results from. One is cost, funding and infrastructure issues. Not all member states are well equipped with funding, right? And also infrastructure issues. So how can a blockchain system address this? Number two is ease of implementation. We know technically, traditionally, if you want to implement a system, it's going to be heavily resourced, time, connectivity issues. And one of the specific reasons given to us, right? Hey, today we have some kind of online system that we use. Can the new emerging technologies connect to this? Vice versa. We do not want to let go of this, right? And of course, the third one is the security of the transaction we talked about. So these are three things that were brought to our attention. And what we did is last September, during the Asean Meet Council, we presented a white paper called Optimizing Data, Digitizing and Technology to Foster Trade Intelligence, to answer to all of these concerns. And in there, we used our Vietnam case as one of the current case at that point of time, machine learning examples. And we also quoted Eurasian customs business case. So there are 5 countries in the Eurasian Union which adopted a single technology within the 5 countries for movement, customs declarations and stuff like that. So we brought that benefits to show how those 5 countries are benefiting in the movement of goods, right? And together, to address the 3 main concerns, we are trying to say that we are trying to offer a unique plug and play concept, something like your smartphone app, right? You download an app, you use it for free, but as when you need some extra features, you pay a little money to get that extra feature. So this is kind of like the thing we're trying to bring to the table. Technology solution is a driver together with that security with Intel SGX. So this is what we presented to them last September together with the white paper, and they were very pleased. And so they gave an action item back to us saying that, okay, we hear you, this is nice. Can you really show a product demonstration of a real system that's gonna show all this, the plug and play concept, how it's going to be so cheap to implement with secure and all that. So we have actually completed that system, and we are going to present to them next month, mid of April. And that system will showcase the flow of, right from the starting of a company, creating an order, submitting it to customs, and how customs can use that blockchain AI technology to analyze their application in various areas, and then how to approve or not approve, rejecting, and all that kind of stuff. And we also have included our trading partners, the customs brokers role. So that's kind of like the demo system that we have prepared for them. And this is actually a screenshot of that system. As you can see, one of the important thing is the potential fraud at the bottom there. So, and this is all customizable as how you need it, how you want it, what are the data fields that you want. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the benefit and all that, I think we talked about it at length. So this is where we are today with the ASEAN initiative. There's been a lot of discussion, especially on the fraud, government revenue protection, TPT, how to make sure the TPT is reduced so that customs can satisfy the customer's delivery. And as the other focus area was the amount of data that we're going to get after we are using this blockchain or AI. What are we going to do with that data? What can that data translate into for both industry and as well as customs and government? What can we achieve with that mega data that we're going to have? So, and lastly, the third project, we just started off with the Malaysian government to really bring a POC on AI for a customs concept called licensed manufacturing warehouse. Today, we have started the design project. This concept is, today, this process is 100% manual. Everything is 100% paperwork. Right from the application of the license up to termination of the license. There are approximately about 350 steps manually today. And with this blockchain, we are going to reduce it to only 25 steps. So that is the latest project that we have embarked as our part to help the industry and customs moving forward with emerging technologies. So with that, I end my presentation. Welcome. If any questions or comments, and I can happily share that white paper if anybody's interested. I can also happily arrange a time if anybody wants to see that new customs demo system for ASEAN. Just reach out to us and we'll be happy to share all that. Thank you.
Thanks very much, sir. Actually, there are one or two questions, if I can take them up.
Sure.
There is a question from Naseem Kuchi. Can this blockchain be used only in government sectors? Can this AI and ML with blockchain be used in private sectors as well for increasing the profit volume in real time by saving energy and power with labor and employee role with an efficiency of economic growth? I think they are trying to say how it can be used in the private sector. It's in the chat room as well, sir, in case you want to read this question out.
Okay. Yes, this is a base platform we have designed for customs. I think it is customizable for many different areas. And today, I think there's one request coming in from Malaysian Tourism Board to use this to some of the digitalization for Tourism Board today. So yes, it can be customizable and workable.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If any other question comes, I'll certainly direct them to you. Thanks a lot once again, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So now it's been more than an hour that we've been all patiently listening to our speakers, and I'm sure you're all having a good learning time right now. I think we should pause for a moment now to re-energize ourselves. So I would request you all to please sit back and relax. So, because it's time to engage yourself now in a little bit fun activity. And now I'm going to invite Miss Ambika, our Intel AI for Youth coach, to take you through some fun AI experiments. Over to you, Ambika.
Hi, thank you, Swati. Hello, everyone. So I think the session is going on pretty well. And to add a bit to it, since it is on blockchain, we have a very fun Kahoot quiz for all of you to re-energize yourself and to reinforce on the learnings that you have been having throughout this session today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the game pin with you all through which you can log into this quiz. The idea of having this quiz is to, see if you know about blockchain well, fun facts about it, and also to have a bit of entertainment. So yeah, all you need to do is you need to go to www.kahoot.it. I've put the link in the chat section. You can go to that link, and I'll quickly start sharing my screen. I hope it is visible to all.
Yes,
it is. Yeah, pin is mentioned on the screen as well, and I'm putting the pin in the chat also, 787-4303. This is the pin. So all you need to do is go to kahoot.it, enter this pin, give yourself a cool nickname. You can use your name or maybe any other name as well. And let's get started. Till the time everyone is joining the Kahoot, let me tell you how it works. So as soon as I click on start, questions would start popping up on my screen as well as yours. And with those questions, there would be options. Some of them are multiple choice questions and the others are true and false statements. So you need to select the correct answer in the least possible time to score the highest points. The one who has the maximum correct answers in the lowest time taken would win this quiz. Okay, we already have 35 participants. We'll wait for 2 more minutes for everyone to join. Okay, let's begin. Have not joined so far, you can keep on trying. First question, what is a blockchain? Read the options carefully and then answer them. Two seconds. 29 correct answers. Yes, it is a distributed ledger on a peer-to-peer network. Absolutely correct. If you haven't joined the Kahoot, you can try joining it now. The pin is there in the chat section and you can resume from the place. Lady Dawn is on top. Hello World is second. PNP third, Rajendra fourth, and Ani fifth. Let's see the next question. What does P2P stand for in blockchain? That responses are coming in quite quickly. "40 correct answers. Yes, it is peer-to-peer. Let's see if the scoreboard has changed. Drastically. Hello World is on top, Ani on second, PNP third, RPA fourth, and my cool nickname on fifth. Let's see the third question. Who was the creator of Bitcoin? Okay, let's see how many of you know it. "36 correct answers. Satoshi Nakamoto." Right. Okay. What's the status? PNP is now on second. My nickname on fourth. That is cool. Next question, fourth. This is a true and false. The creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, is still unknown. Is it true or false? "34 correct answers. Yes, it's true. It's still unknown who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And this changes our scoreboard. Ani is on first, my cool nickname second, then Hello World, PNP, and now we have PJN. Fifth question, which term describes a blockchain split? "19 correct answers. It's known as a fork. That mentions a blockchain split. Okay, PJN is now on fourth and PNP on fifth. Let's see the next question. What was the first real-life Bitcoin transaction? Well, this is sort of a fun fact. Do you know about it? "20 people. Yes, you won't believe, but the very first real-life Bitcoin transaction was for 2 pizzas that costed 10,000 Bitcoins. Too expensive. Okay, the first 2 positions remain unchanged. PJN on third, Hello World fourth, and Margik Bakshi on fifth. Seventh question. There are only 500 different cryptocurrencies in existence today. Is this true or false? Absolutely. It's false. There are more than 700, or I can say 7,000 or 9,000 cryptocurrencies that are in existence today. Okay, all 5 correct answers. Great. 8th question. What are the uses of Ethereum cryptocurrency? Twenty-eight correct answers. Yes, all of the above. Can be used for sending currency, executing smart contracts, processing payments, supply chain management, etc. Okay, the scoreboard has changed. On top, Hello World, PJN, Margik Bakshi, and my cool nickname is again in top 5. 9th, NFT is a type of cryptocurrency. Is that true or false? Twenty-seven correct answers, while we have 21 wrong. So NFT, non-fungible token, is not a cryptocurrency, but can be understood as a digital investment, like in art or something. Okay, the leaderboard has changed a bit. Ani is now on 5th. Oh, that's a drastic fall. Okay, this is going to be the last question. What was the upper limit set for Bitcoin generation? Again, a trivia. Yes, 21 million. 21 million was set as the upper limit for Bitcoin generation, and so far more than 19 million Bitcoins have been generated already. So we will soon be reaching the upper limit. Okay, let's see who the top 3 of our Kahoot quiz are for today. So on the 3rd position, we have my cool nickname with 9 out of 10. Second, we have PJN with 10 out of 10. And the first is Hello World with 9,231 points, 10 out of 10. Congratulations to all of you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd request you to please mention your names in the chat section so that we can congratulate you. Thank you. Swati, you may now take over.
Thanks a lot, Ambika. It was indeed a lot of fun and refreshing. Congratulations, Hello World, and congratulations to all of you. Okay, we are now going to proceed to our next session, which is going to be a panel session on role of artificial intelligence in customs risk management. For this, I would like to introduce a moderator for the discussion, Mr. Vasudevan Rajgopalan. Mr. Vasudevan is a senior management professional and regulatory expert in the area of logistics and customs clearance. He has hands-on experience of more than 25 years in express logistics, warehousing, transportation, sea and air freight, project transportation of over-dimensional as well as heavyweight cargo, container stuffing, and planning. Also, I'm going to introduce our distinguished panel for today's session, Professor PJ Narayanan. So you are the director of International Institute of Information Technology, Hyderabad, with research contribution over the past 25 years in areas including computer vision, computer graphics, and parallel computing. Our second panelist is Mr. Arvind Gupta. So you are the head and co-founder of Digital India Foundation, a policy think tank working in areas of digital inclusion, smart cities, internet governance. You were also the CEO of MyGov, an initiative of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to empower citizens of India with participative governance. and digitally communicative schemes and policies to all Indias. Our third panelist is Professor Bhiksha Raj. Sir, you are a professor in the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon University. You completed your PhD from Carnegie Mellon in 2000 and have been on the faculty at CMU since 2008. Your areas of speciality are AI and ML, with special emphasis on speech and audio processing, privacy, and security in ML. Again, with emphasis on the context of audio and on forensic analysis of voice. And our fourth panelist for the session is Mr. Amit E. Balaratnam. Sir, you head the overall functioning of the EICI Express terminals at international airports and work closely with various central and state government departments on policy matters for business development, compliance, and service standards for the express industry. You have also worked jointly with Indian Customs on process formulation and implementation of the express cargo clearance system across various Indian international airports. With this, I hand it over to you, Mr. Rajgopalan, to get started with the panel session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati. I think it's an absolute privilege to be in the midst of so many eminent people, and sometimes I start by thinking, what is it that I can add value on when we have so much of experts here. It was nice to also hear Mr. P.N. Pandey as well as Mr. Akhilesh Pandey and Mr. Narayana. So without much ado, rather than me speaking much, I would probably invite each of the panelists to kindly give their views, so that we first hear your views and then take it forward if that's okay. There's no particular order, so whoever wants to go first, I think that will be absolutely fine.
We have too many, Vasudevan, we have professors in the classroom. They need to go first. And then the students will come in later on. So
I think it's better you call Rajgopalan, otherwise, there'll be confusion. You call, you choose.
Yeah, Mr. Narayanan, I think since you spoke, I'll start.
Okay, thanks for the invite and greetings to all the fellow panel members and the speakers before. It was very interesting to know the range of activities that Customs Department is doing. When we are all aware briefly about it, or vaguely about it, not very detailed, but I'm really impressed to know that a lot of digitalization has already happened, and the kind of initiatives they're planning on, especially the AI side, I can little bit familiar with. I'm not big of expert in blockchain side of things. I see there are many activities or many initiatives have been planned. I think there's a lot of scope today. The early digitalization, converting everything to digital, was the initial thrust of when computers came into picture in the first 50 years. But now that has happened, or mostly everything is digitalized. Now, what do we do with it is the most important thing, that is judging or using the data. So AI, in the initial years, AI was about game playing and all that, but now we have realized that every organization, so customs or any government department is an organization, it can use a lot of AI to improve itself. And particularly, a lot of examples were given on the shipping data, customer data, production data, the courier data, and so much data, and so many customers being represented there. This is a huge wealth of information, and tons of processing can make things much better for operation. A few things were outlined by Mr. Pandey, and I hope that's being done, and we will be glad to be. Many academia in India will be glad to be part of that. In particular, there was a reference to image processing or image analytics for to get information. I'm sure there are a lot of documents which are still, in some sense, physical. So photographs of them can automatically be parsed and information collected today with the kind of image processing and language processing combination of these two. Similarly, the X-ray of these packages being made, and they've already mentioned that they want to do that. That will be something that will really help analyze the packages as they move forward in different segments, different parts. And then there is also, this also reference was made to it about protecting the privacy and the secrecy of the information. We are now living in the era of hundreds and thousands of very, very innovative digital frauds or online frauds. We all get calls which we get nearly fooled into, some of it we get fooled also. So, so all the privacy aspects of this data processing did not attract as much attention in the early years when the euphoria of processing things was took over. I think now that has come back into focus. So that's a layer that on anything that we do, we have to apply that, we have to think about that thing. And otherwise, I see a lot of scope for customs or any government department of this kind, of this scale, to be using image processing or language processing or geo information to make data better. The word intelligence in the world of customs, etc. There's also a associated entity called BRI, right? There the word the revenue intelligence. The intelligence that is used to mine is about the data mining, where artificial intelligence dealt with intelligence up here. But I think the data mining is more like the intelligence, the DRI or the customs or the government, the police, they all need intelligence of that kind. So there are many scope. I will just stop here and let others have their introductory remark, and we'll discuss later. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Narayana. I could probably request Mr. Diksha Raj to Professor to give a few words, if that's okay with you, sir. You're on mute, sir. You may have to unmute.
I was asked to actually make some slides, so I did make some slides. Can you let me share my screen?
Yes, please. That should be interesting.
So currently I cannot share.
Swati, do we need to give any rights or anything like that for Professor to share his screen?
So you already have the speaker rights.
Okay, so now I got it. I just got it.
Excellent.
Yeah. So let me see if I can pull up my basic. It's not, for some reason, it's not showing me the screen. This is strange. Just give me a second for this. I guess I'll just do it with.
So Rajgopal, meanwhile, we can request Mr. Arvind Gupta sir to. Okay.
Yeah, that should be absolutely fine. Thank you. Oh yeah, I see.
Okay. So sorry.
Can see us.
All right. Just to introduce myself, I'm Diksha Raj. I'm a professor in the Language Technologies Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. I have affiliations to various other departments there. I work on speech and audio processing, machine learning, deep learning, security and privacy, and a lot of related areas. This is our lovely campus, Carnegie Mellon. And some of the stuff, anything that I'll be talking today is not merely about my work, but I'm sort of building on the experience and knowledge I've got from all of my colleagues at LTI, which is the largest language technologies institute in the world today, and other research groups. The research group I work in is MLSP and speech. Now, when I was invited to this panel, I was told what the topic was yesterday. So I reached out to a few people to find out about the state of AI and how customs and such like are using it in India. So I want to thank Srimati Priyanka, who is in the IRS, Joint Commissioner of Customs and GST in Hyderabad, Shri Kamal Jain, who is the Director of Cargo and Logistics, and Shri Satyanarayan, who's from IRTS, who used to be the CGM of the Container Corporation of India. So all the information, everything, my slides and my information are built on information I got from them. And I have very little additional information to add over everything that are really very august panelists have already discussed so far. But what I found from my discussions is that the key areas where AI could be of relevance are information access, of course, supply chain management, compliance and conformance check, disaster management, and fraud deterrence. Now, in this context, as an academic, we don't really build giant systems for corporations or governments. We build prototypes, we work on research, which we hand out to other corporations or agencies. So the 4 examples I'm going to give you are work that some of which I have been part of, and others which have been done by my colleagues. So our group has been working with the security agencies in the United States for several years now. And this has to do with, among others, shipping in of contraband. So the Coast Guard centers get lots of fraud SOS calls. The whole point is somebody says, I'm drowning, help me. Now they have limited resources. So they have maybe 2 helicopters and 4 boats in that area. They send them out. And while these people are otherwise occupied, contraband gets brought in, drugs, other kinds of shipment, even sex trafficking. And so anytime any kind of call comes in, they are required to respond because people might be dying. But then this causes so much damage to the country because of fraud that they ended up reaching out for AI solutions to deal with it. And so we built technologies where we analyze, and the only thing you have is a voice recording in these cases. So we analyze voice and audio recordings, and we try to tell them who was speaking, what kind of person was this person. If you look into prior records, has this person tried to pull a similar stunt in the past? Where are they most likely? Are they on water? Are they in a boat? What kind of equipment have they been using? Things like that. Now, everything is AI driven. And what we find is that my colleague Rita Singh has worked on over 250 cases so far for Coast Guard and security agencies around the world, in fact. And several suspects have been arraigned. We find that being able to do this relieves some of the pressure on these agencies who are in charge of protecting not merely the borders, but also the economy of the country from contraband and such like. So this was one. Here's another. Now, when you go to Walmart or when you go to Amazon or eBay or any of these stores, they mostly do not own the stuff that they sell. They just happen to be the centralized point where other sellers come and upload their information. So at this point, if somebody comes and asks for shoes, they can get a catalog for 5,000 different types of shoes. Are there really 5,000 different types of shoes? No. So we are left with this humongous challenge of trying to organize this highly unstructured information, often based on maybe one photograph and a little bit of associated text. And this is a logistic nightmare. It's a regulatory nightmare. It's a conformance nightmare. And we've been working on solutions where we can, based on historic records, based on everything else that we can get, how we can analyze these data using computer vision, NLP, and other AI to organize them for the customer. This one's a huge one. This is work that we've been doing with a giant aircraft company. So they have, this is something very similar to what the government has. Tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of pages of documentation, and usually in PDF form or maybe online. But there is this worker suspended from the ceiling 30 feet above the ground working on an engine. And he wants to find out how much torque do I need to tighten this one little lever. And he's going to ask a question and post a photograph. The traditional mechanism before AI kicked in was for some people on the ground to go and dig through all of that information to give them the right information. Otherwise, you had experts, human experts, and human experts could make mistakes. So this entire thing has now been largely automated, where AI technologies using NLP, AI, and computer and other AI tools have organized this highly structured hundreds of thousands of pages of text into an information database. They can obtain voice-based queries from this person suspended way above and translate it to the right information to find out what question is being asked, pull up the appropriate information and present it to this person up there with near 100% accuracy. And this, as you can imagine, there's no comparative improved throughput over some other system by X, because this kind of thing hasn't really existed in the past before companies began building on it. So this has been a life changer, basically changes the landscape of business. Or disaster management, something that we were doing for the government of Chile. So they have earthquakes, they have other kinds. Chile is particularly prone to earthquakes. They have dozens, they have, anytime a disaster strikes, there's going to be widespread chaos. There's information coming from hundreds of different places. And all of these have to be coordinated, and turns out coordinating all of this completely chaotic information and getting an organized response, which is in terms of directing traffic, sending first responders, calming down the public, all of this can be very challenging. And once again, AI comes to the rescue. So if you look at the various obvious extensions of such technologies to where AI might apply, in the case of customs and such like in India, all of these, I have several examples on my slides. I'll actually stop over here and hand over to the next panelist. But it turns out that pretty much all of the different challenges that have been mentioned in the session so far can indeed be addressed by modern AI. And it's kind of ripe. So the examples I showed in terms of what we have actually been worked on, they are not the only ones. There are dozens of others, and some of which are directly applicable to the custom scenario. Again, they're almost there. And what I have learned over the past couple of days is that our customs agencies in particular are way out there in terms of adoption of technology. So we're probably at the cusp of making life really easy and making the job of doing business in India very simple. So I'll stop over here and hand over to the next panelist.
Thank you so much, Professor. Interesting. Maybe a few points I could probably ask in the next opportunity that I get to speak. Can I request Mr. Arvind to give his views, please? Really interesting discussion going on. Please.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon now. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, sir, clear, it's visible.
So I'm going to talk a little bit from my experience, both inside the government and as an academic and as a practitioner. So that's a unique that probably puts me with these august panelists to talk about what I am observing from a very high level, as well as some issues that we've seen actually roll out in real time. A lot more application of AI in the government, a little bit of blockchain, and especially when we talk about supply chains and the whole logistics supply chain. Let's put it that way. So. All of us know this. I think today we are living in this fourth industrial revolution, which is a combination of one key resource, really computational power, really harnessing one key resource, which is data. And I think, and the reason I showed this slide that while India skipped the first three industrial revolutions, this is one industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, that I think we are in the midst of, where India is actually doing things we should be proud of. It's very groundbreaking. We are leading the world in many efforts, and a lot more can be done. And these kind of dialogues, capacity building exercises are of course a welcome change. So and it is clear that this is not only impacting just one area, but it's impacting everything we do around us. I could go on and give many examples there, but today's discussion I'll limit to something on the supply chain side. The next point I do make is that while this is happening, and what we are seeing is Indians have become immensely digital. Today, in the last 8 years or so, since I've been associated with the various initiatives around Digital India, I can share that this number of 825 million, which is 82 crore internet users today, was about 12 to 14 crores 8 years ago. So in the last 8 years, this number has gone up 6 to 7x. And that really makes us talk about the second thing, which is while we have gone digital, India has done the second other thing, which I think which no other nation has done, is to build digital public goods at scale, at population level. And why this is important to be discussed here is that today we have technology where data can be captured and can empower the users at any level, from citizens to governments to any part of any supply chain, whether it's a digital supply chain or a logistics supply chain or a medical supply chain or healthcare supply chain. We have so much of data being generated. Everybody in this audience is, I'm sure, aware of this whole Aadhaar stack, the India stack that we have, starting from identity to the eKYC, DigiLocker, to the payments, the UPI. The UPI is producing about 5 billion transactions a month. And India as a total is doing actually probably about 40 to 50% more transactions than one of the world leaders in electronic transactions, which is China. So, this is the bit sizing of payments that has caused so much of data to be produced, total data footprint to be produced, that we now can match just about everything. And then Professor Raj from Carnegie Mellon mentioned about GST. GST is a great example, combined with the airway bill system, that now we have the live real-time tracking of not only invoices being generated, you cannot fake invoices, the fraud detection, but also the whole supply chain logistics is being managed. You cannot just create an invoice which then you can be used, or you cannot have duplicate invoices, you cannot have multiple invoices. Having a single source of producing validated, repudiated documents is now the GST system. That has single-handedly led to so much of efficiency in the whole movement of goods. And I think that itself is a case study of how a small fraud detection system using AI can really help in detecting and ensuring that people are going with more valid documents and not just a piece of duplicated paper. And of course, the last thing, which is why we are discussing AI today, is the source of all AI is data. So who controls the data? We have the fifth layer of the India stack, which is the consent layer, what we fondly call the DAPA architecture, the data empowerment and protection architecture. All this combined today are digital public goods. It's available to everybody to be used. And because it's available to everybody to be used, with the right set of interoperability, what this does is, this puts us in a very, very unique position. And whether we disrupt supply chains or we disrupt any other function, we have the power to do that. And the two other things I do want to mention, and that's why I was presenting these motherhood slides, because what is also happening is we're seeing a lot of data being in regional languages. And the interesting part is in India's income pyramid, it is not just the top end of consumers. We have today participation from all levels of digital natives in India, all levels of digital migrants from India. So we have data about being produced about everybody. So this has been a very inclusive movement where everybody is leaving a data footprint, has control over that data, and that is really enabling a lot of interesting decision making. The other point that I want to highlight from the slide is the voice part. Voice data is becoming a very, very big strength and asset, especially in given the voice diversity and the diversity and in educational levels, people are doing more interactions on voice, and I'll give you some examples and how this has been used. In especially what Professor Raj was talking about, so interesting in getting those alerts from the security agencies. This is one of the things that we are doing, is to understand voice, and especially again, and that same example, if you just put out the US Postal Guard and put the Indian Postal Guard, that is actually true, and it is actually happening here. So. So what are the three key messages before I move on to other important things? Is India is number one building digital public goods at scale, that is population scale. It's not small pilots, we are building digital public goods at population scales. Indians are going massively digital, producing so much of data that we are becoming data rich before all of us are becoming economically rich. So these are the three key things that we are seeing as overarching trends as we move ahead in India. And the advantage with digital public goods is that because of digital public goods, the trust in the system, the trust in data is very, very high. And this has been one of the core reasons for adoption at all levels. All qualitative and quantitative research is showing that trust factor, the trust and neutrality of platforms is playing the highest role when it comes to adoption. Where is that we are today? Today, because of this data exhaust, because of this massive data exhaust, everybody is innovating on top of the data to give, let's say, credit, to give health, and I'll talk about logistics and health as an example, education, and so many other applications that are getting rolled out as we speak. So if somebody follows the unicorns, I know there was a quiz going on about Bitcoin, what value of Bitcoins and who bought some pizzas. If you ask the amount of unicorns that have been produced in the last 1 year, 50% of the unicorns will somewhere be connected with fintech, credit, another 20% probably with education, another 10% with health. So there's a lot of good new startups innovating on top of the data exhaust that we are producing. Coming to two specific examples. I talked about this. This is, if my good friend, the current CEO of MyGov is on this group or on the discussion, Abhishek will tell you, we did the one of the biggest AI voice hackathons. See, as I said, Indians are, we are good at talking. We also have a lot of call-in numbers. And in these call-in numbers, people come and give comments or give grievances, or these are voice-based systems, and we have enabled MyGov as a platform where it is not just digital or on a smartphone; it's also on a voice call. So you can call in and give feedback, give comments, and ask questions and things like that. One of the side benefits of that was that we were able to get 20,000 voice samples of at least 14 different languages. And in these 14 different languages, what we were able to do is use deploy a hackathon where our smart innovators actually could get access to this data. And this 20,000 is just samples. It's good, and with transcribed samples. And we were able to now create more accurate algorithms, which none of the big platforms in the world were able to do, and crack the code of, if people were speaking voice in a language other than English, Hindi, will we be able to translate it automatically? And this is now open data. This is what is being built out currently as we speak as voice stack for India, again as a digital public good. This has been applied to many speeches. This has been applied to many other, and it has worked in this. It's been highly accurate. I don't have the exact numbers of whether it was 70% or 80% accurate, but I've been told it's upward accuracy is more than 70% plus. So that is the kind of work we've been able to do to develop this as public goods. Now imagine the impact of this in enabling healthcare or supply chain, and instead of having only data being textual data or data points being generated on a digital platform, you also can have voice commands and voice data being converted and actioned as we go along. The other big example I have, and this is something is a great example, not just of customs, but in general of supply chain, is this whole vaccine deployment platform. The greatest use of AI technology today has been our CoWIN and the EVEN platform working together. EVEN is the electronic vaccine intelligence network. 28,900 cold chains were managed on a daily basis. 28,900 cold chains were managed on a daily basis. I'm repeating that. And we were able to deploy more than 100,000, 1 lakh vaccinators a day, which then, somewhere did from anywhere from 3 million to 25 million vaccinations a day. So to do this immense amount of front end, you needed a lot of supply chain management, making sure the vaccine flow is happening. It's happening in a cold chain, and it's going to the right places where there is, and how to manage the demand with the supply, and it is reaching in time, and there is no lags, and this has been the case over the last 400 days or so, that this platform has used, I call it in stealth mode, AI at scale, at population scale, to deliver the highest vaccinations that we've ever seen in human history. So greatest use of AI, and from EVEN, which is the vaccine intelligence, from barcoding it to batch numbering it. So a little bit of blockchain use there, and then making sure that the supply and demand that is coming from the front end is correctly matched with the back end, and the right logistics is done all on a autonomous AI-based system, so that we are able to then, there is no least amount of human intervention that is required, and then only we could achieve this population scale. So this is one of the greatest examples. The story is still not like 100% published because we are still on. It is still ongoing, but this is something that is something that we all need to be talking about. And I'm just repeating what I just said. And I think Professor has already talked about the customs, so I will not discuss this case study of the customs already using it. With this, I do want to just thank the organizers once again and wish the rest of the conference the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arvind. Quite interesting points. And then something that comes out is, data seems to be important everywhere. In fact, this was spoken by Mr. P.N. Pandey, Mr. Akhilesh Pandey, again by Professor Raj, Professor Raj Narayanan. I would also invite Mr. Amit Balaratnam to come in. Amit Balaratnam, because I know him, I'm also from the express industry, and I can say technology has actually made what I fondly say as happy hands. Because I say happy hands because previously courier clearances were all done by manual clearances, and we are talking of 10,000 millions of shipments getting cleared. There was carbon paper everywhere, so you could always see that hands are either black, brown, blue, whichever color of carbon that was used. But now I'd say now the people who are washing clothes may probably feel happier because the shirt remains white and not black, blue, and other colors. That's on a lighter note, but yes, technology has made a big difference. So can I ask Amit Balaratnam to share his views, please?
Thank you, Vasu. Thank you for the introduction. Thanks to everyone. It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here and to participate in this very interesting discussion. Interestingly, Mr. P.N. Pandey and Mr. Akhilesh Pandey have already covered a lot of what we do, what Vasu and I do. But I think for the benefit of all, I'd like to share a small presentation and talk about what is it that the express industry is doing with AI, with the government, and how we as an industry have been using technology for a fairly long time to ensure that we are able to provide speed to our customers in terms of moving their goods globally. So without any further ado, let me please share with you some of the points will be common. Beg my pardon for that. Yeah, so a little bit about EICI. We are actually a trade association which works in India for the express industry. We have various express companies and e-commerce companies who are our members. And we were founded way back in 1997 with the sole motive of ensuring that the industry has a voice in India. And we also hold ourselves responsible as an industry towards the country, towards the rules, the compliances that come in with cross-border logistics, with domestic logistics as well. We have partnered with the government on various projects. Interestingly, Eccs, which is the Express Cargo Clearance System, is a system that was jointly initiated way back in 2005 as a PPP project between Indian Customs and EICI to jointly ensure that we are able to automate the express clearance systems in India and bring them at par with what we have experienced abroad in our networks. We also do initiatives with the government on skilling because we are a very, very heavily manpower-driven industry. So it is very important for us to ensure that we have trained manpower. And of course, with the government providing a lot of support and a lot of encouragement, we've been able to take this skilling initiative quite far within the industry, and we continue to do that. A little bit about the business. I'm sure most of us already know what the likes of a DHL, a FedEx, a UPS, or a DTDC or a Blue Dart does on the domestic or the international level. We basically pick shipments from the doorstep of the shipper and we deliver it to the doorstep of the consignee in a matter of hours. We basically sell speed. We sell our speed and our technology to the customers, because we already know that moving goods is already something which has been one of the oldest professions in the world. We've just made it a little faster, and we try to do the best we can in terms of providing best possible services to our customers globally as well as within India. A little bit about the industry in India. The industry is fairly old now. It took a bit of time for us to sort of set a footprint for ourselves in India, to be known as what we are, not just someone who's picking shipments from your doorstep and delivering, but there's a lot that goes into it. Globally, we are a fairly large industry. We are about 250 billion odd industry globally. In India, we are at about 6.4 billion. We move a fairly large amount of shipments annually within the country, domestically as internationally. The express operators who operate globally have a good presence in the aviation side as well. They fly in a fair number of cargo planes in and out of India. This ensures that we provide dedicated space for the time, delivered product that we actually go to customers and sell. We are a fairly large employer as well. We are estimated to be employing about 26 lakh people as we talk today within this year. So these are just some of the industry, figures. I'd also like to share with you on the global level, we are operating in about 220 countries. And because the network is so large for all of us, we have to ensure that we bring in a lot of infrastructure, and there's a lot of technology for that. In a year, we move about 10 billion shipments in these 220 odd countries. And to do that, we need to have a lot of air and a lot of ground network, which is working very, very closely, very well aligned. And of course, it has to be backed by a lot of technology. So we ensure that we bring in that sort of, expertise to the table for our customers globally. Now coming to what we talk about, what was already spoken about, the ECCS clearance system so well by Mr. P.N. Pandey and Mr. Akhilesh Pandey. From the government side, this is a project which indeed has brought us to a very competitive level in, globally when we talk about cross-border clearances. And I'm talking from the side of the business side of, of the stakeholders that we represent. Initially, like Vasu did mention, we were a very paper-driven industry. Anytime, that we had to clear packages, which is 24/7, 365 days in a year, we would always be indulging in a lot of paperwork. Paperwork is not just about moving bulks of paper from the location of the express company to customs and back. It also involves a lot of consumption of time, a lot of back-end work, which goes into managing that paperwork, because obviously we are dealing with the law, we are dealing with the policies of the government. So we have to ensure that the compliance levels are always kept at the highest possible levels. When we looked at automation, what we decided to do was, I must highlight that the government was very, very forthcoming in this way back in 2005, that the system had to be completely online. It should not be a half paper based and a half electronic based system. So with that in mind, the system of ECCS was developed to ensure that every single activity that was done for customs was all done on the electronic system. Just to give you an example, when we upload the clearance documents for a package, for a courier package, we are talking about express now, we upload a bill of entry or we upload a shipping bill. Now, these are electronic documents that we can upload that were already there, as how the industry has progressed or cross-border clearances have progressed over the years. What we were able to bring to the table as something new was that we were also able to upload images of the documents for every single package. That means if somebody in the US had to ship something to say somebody in Delhi, when they hand over the package and they receive an airway bill, they would also be handing over some documents. Could be an invoice, could be some literature of the package, or could be any document related to the clearance of that package. That documentation very conveniently is now uploaded into the clearance system of customs along with the data of the package, which ensures that customs sitting in any corner of the country, multiple departments of customs are able to view the details of the package and the literature without having to be presented with hard copy paper or without having to go through the drill of actually being at the site to view the paperwork, which basically also enables customs to provide remote screening of the documentation that is already put up into the system. The second thing that the system brought out was aligning the physical package movement in the gateways. When I say gateways, the courier terminals that are controlled by Indian Customs, when the package arrived with the data. So what basically this did was that these handheld barcode scanners that we see at shopping malls, at shopping marts, those same scanners which are already being used by the express industry for decades and decades were brought into the customs clearance system. So now what happens is that when an express company is bringing in, say, 100 odd packages into Bombay from London, and the data is already uploaded into the customs system, when the package arrives at Bombay port, that is the customs clearance port for courier, the data of that package is already in the customs system. Customs knows that these packages are already arriving. They do what they already have the ability to, in the backend, work and process whatever they have to in terms of clearing the package, holding it for examination or for assessment. What happens is when the physical package arrives at the facility at the Bombay port, the handling agency there or the custodian there is using the handheld barcode scanner able to scan that box and immediately provide the input into the ECCS system that the package has arrived, which ensures that the actual availability or visibility of the package is there in the electronic system of Indian Customs. This also ensures that there is availability of that status to the final customer, that is the importer or even the exporter for that matter, in the ECCS mobility app or in the ECCS tracking system, something which is very, very common in the express industry. When you send a package, you want to know where it is. So you just go into the system and you punch the number, you know where it is. So this ensures that there is a lot of transparency. This ensures that there is a lot of answerability on all of us in the industry to ensure that we provide the service that we sell to our customers. We have this in our systems, but now when we have it in the custom systems, we become more answerable. All of us are more answerable. There is more transparency, and we all know where we are headed in terms of a package's life through the entire supply chain. So ECCS in that sense has been really a game changer for all of us. From the industry side, I can tell you, just to add to what Shri Akhilesh Pandey was saying, the dwell times, which were on an average 6 to 7 hours after flight arrival until the packages were out of customs clearance, has come down to almost 120 minutes or in some cases even lesser. And this is attributed to the system and the technology that we already have here. Needless to say that the system is enabled with risk management, which is already spoken about by by our distinguished guest, Mr. P.N. Pandey. The system, when it went live, it already had that system in place. So it ensured that the transparency levels are very, very high. It ensured that a customer who was shipping through the express network into India or out of India knew that the package will go through a very high level of compliance, and only then it will move forward. So this also ensures that there is a lot of transparency. There is a lot of oversight by the department on the way business happens on in the cross-border environment. So yeah, this is a little bit about ECCS. I'll not talk more about it because it's already there in the open. Vasu probably in the course of the discussion can share. Coming to how AI can help, customs risk management. I think ECCS is a very big example of that. There's enough and more that is already happening with Indian customs in terms of enabling this. We already have a lot of work that is happening between customs and the express industry. When I say express industry, the express side of it as well as the e-commerce side of it, to ensure that we are able to provide transparency in terms of what is actually moving. What was rightly said by one of the earlier speakers was that today, because of e-commerce, there are thousands and thousands of customers whose packages are actually transiting through this network, or actually using the express mode to actually bring packages into India, which are directly delivered to them. So this also opens up a wide range of challenges for the regulators in terms of managing the sort of products that are coming in terms of ensuring that there is no duty evasion, in terms of ensuring that there is a proper system in place to ensure that there's facilitation for those who are importing and exporting without any negative remarks. So to list a few, when we talk to the regulators, we look at trying to bring in some more alignments between our systems and their systems, which could ensure that examination, which is something, which is 100% activity in the courier business in India. Any and every package that is moving in and out of the country has to be 100% X-ray screened to ensure that it is complied with from an aviation security perspective, as well as from a regulator perspective, that is the customs side. Similarly, when we look at AEO is a very, very big program that has of course taken the Indian exporters and importers to the next level of business connectivity. We can always look at seeing how those customers who don't have any sort of red flags and are not AEOs, AI can be used to ensure that they too get into the AEO program without having to go through the entire process of self-application. This could be something that could be looked at, because we are looking at an environment in Indian clearance systems where every system talks to every system. The departments within customs are already having visibility of what is moving through, through the borders, through various modes, could be sea, could be air, could be express. So why not we look at, a system where there are exporters, make a lot of small time exporters or importers who can be brought into the AEO program using AI. Just to, give you all some more insight about Express, there are a lot of SMEs. There is a lot of MSMEs who use the Express industry because they do not have the bandwidth to have large logistics departments or large teams working for them in-house or externally because of cost. So we become their in-house logistics service providers in every way possible. So we bring them close to the global markets. We also ensure that they are provided the service that more business in terms of opening more business channels. So yeah, this is a little bit about what we are, what we do. We as an industry already are doing quite a bit of AI in our systems, in our warehouses. We already use robotic arms for auto sorting of packages because that ensures more efficiency, more accuracy for us. We are also using AI and blockchain for customer specific needs, customer profiling, where customers need specific sort of logistics services, including monitoring. Could be pharmaceuticals, which require temperature control, which need time definite delivery. There are systems in place through AI and blockchain, which are ensuring the complete monitoring of such movement of goods globally to ensure that the packages, these medicines reach the, their final destinations without being tampered and in time. So yes, there's a lot we are trying to do. And we continue to work closely with the government to ensure that we provide the sort of services and the transparency that is expected out of us as the express industry in India. So with that, I would like to thank everyone for having me on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Quite an exhaustive information on the express industry. But that, yeah, I think the pandemic really helped. For the express industry, it was useful in supporting lives actually when oxygen concentrators were in demand, etc. ECCS played a very big role, the way customs operated and the other partnering government agencies. If I may ask view actually, maybe to Mr. Arvind, what would you were speaking of GST, sir? Where GST has actually made a huge impact in the logistics. People may not have told, but then I think probably in Valiar border, trucks would stand probably for 4 or 5 days. Now it's going off very fast. So there is the idea of one nation, one invoice. With AI, blockchain, would there be a concept of one nation, one submission, in the sense that I submit one document, say, to one agency like GST, and then that data automatically goes to customs or it goes to whichever agency? Just a broad thought, because you have been behind so many ideas. Can I take your views on that, sir?
Vasu, I think number one, as I said, I wear 3 hats. One of the hats as an academic and as a practitioner, I say, yes, that is the most practical thing to do. You submit it once and it distributes it automatically. But when you have worked inside the government, you know that the complexities are on multiplicity of jurisdictions, and the fact that this data flow might happen technologically, but it also has to happen from a bureaucratic jurisdiction perspective. I think that's where the challenge lies. It's not the technology. Let me assure you, it's not the technical challenge. It's not something that we think it's undoable. It's more of a multiplicity of jurisdiction and the whole problem of where does it originate, where does it end, who ends up doing actions on that. So I think, but that vision is correct. What you're saying is a correct vision. That is something that we desire. I mean, if I submit my data and with interoperability, the way we have it at population scale, I shouldn't be replicating that. Again, crisis, but during crisis, this whole Oven platform should give us some inspiration. This whole ICMR portal should give us some inspiration to give your samples to a lab, and if and that the whole, because of one unique identifier, which is your in our case will be GSTN number, the data gets and in the case of the lab test, it's your Aadhaar number. It gets populated in ICMR and Arogya Setu in Coven automatically. So that learnings from there should be applied, in especially GST. So I think now that the systems are stable, this will see the reality in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I should put on record. SWIFT has made a big difference. Single window that customs introduced. The Coven, all of us have used and all of us have got benefited. And the pandemic has been one fantastic way of actually digital use. Even now we are all don't have to go to office, you from home, but then you do all the work. With that, can I ask Professor Raj on his, because Mr. Arvind had also spoken like how you did it for the US on the Coast Guard. What's your view of what could be done further, or your vision that could be used in India, if I could seek your view?
So the actual problems between India and the US are not going to be very different. We have essentially all the same challenges, right? Now, it's not just voice. The bigger challenge that we have is finding the signatures of anomalous behaviors. This was also mentioned earlier by some of the speakers. Right? So anomalous behaviors range from voice calls to shipments being made, money being transferred. All of these anomalous behaviors have to be tracked. The problem we run into over there is the trade-off between privacy and security over here and conformance. And it's not really clear to me where the balance lies. Now, India has this fantastic platform where we have digitized biometric signatures for basically the entire populace. And so that gives us opportunities that other countries don't have in terms of being able to track strange behaviors, strange patterns, stuff coming in at different locations at different times across time, the longitudinal behavioral patterns and such like. But all of these are related to crime. In the bigger picture, even if you're speaking about just what customs is doing, there are other situations where AI can come in. So disaster management, for instance, you have all of these docks, containers are being offloaded. There are still lots and lots of people over there. It's not automated. They're not robots offloading containers. They are not robots counting the number of boxes coming out of these containers still, right? They are humans being or humans working in these systems. And things like, are these people wearing their helmets? Has there been an accident? Is there a fire someplace? All of these are critical and almost ignored aspects of the problem, of the process, which AI could go a long way into detecting, alerting, preventing, which actually affects the overall process of commerce. So there is that aspect too. And once again, the technology is there for it.
I think got disconnected. Professor Narayanan, a very interesting point that comes again because Professor Raj spoke of safety, something that I was not aware could be done through artificial intelligence, etc. The immediate point that comes to mind, there are 2 points that comes to my mind, maybe you could guide, is, the minute we say we are putting technology, there is also a school of thought that say, will the jobs go away? That's one. 2, of course, how can it make life that much more better? Because that's a very interesting point that Professor Raj brought up. Safety. Your views, sir.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, there are lots of things that in any workplace can benefit from by use of modern AI technologies. So there were a large number of systems made where you place a camera or surveillance camera or will detect if you are wearing masks, for instance, during the or at least warn you. Okay, distancing. I mean, these are fleeting value because once the pandemic is over, nobody cares about them. But things like construction sites or the sites of where you exchange packages, etc., they will remain. So beyond that, I have a suggestion, to since NEGD and digital, India, everybody is here, and see, it is clear that there is a lot of digital data today in the customs and the shipping, express, all this the system. I mean and there is a lot of at least some efforts in using it for gaining understanding, gaining more analytics, and gaining insights. So to prevent fraud, to increase efficiency, multiple reasons. But whatever has been done can be nothing but just the tip of an iceberg. There's so much more can be done. I have a suggestion that, and I don't know what are the implementation agencies and companies, how the governmental agencies like customs deal with, but there is a lot of scope, and this has been happening in other areas now. If you can create some of the data that is and make it publicly usable with all the safeguards, privacy protection, anonymization, whatever is required. But if customs related data or shipment related data or relate such data, I think making it publicly available for startups or academics, for others to use, this will give a huge fillip to many of the related activities, and you may even have a few solutions that can directly be adopted. So I would request NEGD, I think the government, the authorities in the government are here in this meeting. They should be the right ones who can take that steps. And there are enough agencies, academics, many of us can help with the safeguards like anonymization and no sensitive information is not revealed, commercial information is not revealed. These are very important, obviously. But I think I believe all this can be done, and a huge volume of data that is in proportion to what is today's AI. If it's made available, it'll be helpful to academically, helpful to startups, it'll be helpful to the department. So I would like to place this request in front of everybody who is now there. Thank you.
Thank you. Swati, do we have more time, or is there any questions that you would want to that press come in the chat box that you want to post. Firstly, thank you. Yeah, Swati, please.
No, go on, Mr. Vasu, please.
No, I thought I'll first thank because I don't know how much of time more is left. I see it's already.
We actually, we are actually pretty much on the time. I see the speakers were kind enough to answer the questions of the participants in there. So I don't see any questions out here. On that note, Mr. Vasu, anything else you would like to say to conclude the session?
No, I think this has been quite a amazing session. In fact, a lot of learning for me here. And then a common point that comes out is there's a lot of data available. India surely has been, when I hear Mr. Arvind or I hear Professor Raj or I hear Mr. Narayana, Amit, I understand, and I'm sort of getting reconfirmed, that I always propagated that India is far ahead on time in terms of the way we are using digital, and then the way things are moving across, at least in the logistics front and in the regulatory front, seems to be a very bright thing. And I fondly tell to Mr. Akhilesh Pandey that we are ahead of the curve when it comes to especially the single window concept that was introduced in India, because even now world over, we don't have these multiple participating government agencies in one channel where you can do work together. Of course, like they say in this Pepsi ad, no, dil mange more. You are never happy with one, right? And but that's possible because we have such bright people, and there's a government's vision of the very word that digital India is. We are moving towards a world where we are moving paperless. So I think I will not take more time, Swati. I'll leave it in your able hands to take it forward. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Mr. Vasu. And now I will request Mr. Satyanarayan Meena sir to deliver the vote of thanks and closing remarks.
Yeah. Thank you, Swati. It was indeed a very informative and interactive session, and I hope purpose for which Digital India dialogues have been initiated as being made to considerable extent. It is now time for us to conclude the session. I hope each of you gained insight and learnings to take away from these sessions. On behalf of NEGD, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the eminent speakers for sharing their experiences, knowledge, and wisdom with us. I would also like to express my appreciation to all the participants for their presence in making this program productive. Here, I would like to mention a big thank you to our President and CEO NEGD, Sri Abhishek Singh sir. Under his dynamic leadership, the DID program was envisioned and conceptualized. His guidance always inspires and pushes us forward to take new initiatives. I would also like to express thanks to Sri Vinay Thakur, CEO NEGD, for his continuous backing and support. These closing remarks would be incomplete without a mention of our esteemed collaborative partners, the UNDP and the entire Intel team. They always bring the best of experts and industry practices from across the globe to make every session rich with insight and takeaway learnings. Last but not the least, a huge appreciation for my capacity building team for managing and coordinating the session so efficiently, and also the awareness and communication team for facilitating to reach out appropriate audience through various social media platforms. And we hope to see you all again soon in the next sessions, the detail of which will be available in our DID website very soon. And here there will be a link to a feedback form in chat room. So I request, please put it on this thing. May I please to take 2 minutes to fill for this. We also request you to follow us on our social media platforms where we share our latest use cases on this application of digital technology to improve the delivery of citizens. And thank you all again. Have a great productive day. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great day all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.